Good day everyone, it's your favorite pastry, and today I'll be beating Elden as Solaire of Astora from Dark Souls 1. The rules are as follows. I have to use the equipment and incantations that are as close of a match to what Solaire would use, and I have to engage in jolly cooperation by helping everyone I can. The first rule is pretty easy, but the second one, there are 36 quests in Elden Ring, and I did all but one. That one being Grang, because I kinda forgot. Actually, I just dislike the side dungeons. They're one of the biggest reasons I don't like Elden Ring being an open world game. Without further ado, let us begin. We create Solaire in a somewhat competent character creator. It's only been 13 years. One day they'll figure it out. But look at those eyes. Who wouldn't love Solaire? We start as the Vagabond, as Solaire is a knight, and the Vagabond is Elden Ring's version of a knight. Since we start with the longsword, Solaire's primary weapon, we strip down to our pen. I challenge the Graphic Scion. They give me tinnitus. I summon a friend for the ring gesture, raise this friend from Rush, and start Melina's quest by agreeing to take her to the Erdtree. Why she didn't slay the demigods herself, I'll never know. Watching her fight Morgoth makes me think she's more than capable. With our noble steed, we're able to start all of the quests in the Limgrave area, which I included Weeping Peninsula. There are 10 quests in the area. Oh boy. Up the hill, we find Little Red Riding Hood finding her courage missing. Alexander is just down the road to the east and is cosplaying as a stepsister. I help him out. Just across the bridge, near some gravestones, is Dee, Hunter of the Dead, warning us about a mariner. The mariner proved to be a little challenge because he was already dead. Dee offered me to crash at his place, but I don't swing that way. I then proceeded into Alberta's tar sands for the Great Helm and Champion's Bracers. I think they look rather nice. While here, I also talked to Vari, who is covered in a disturbing amount of blood. It's definitely my maidens, isn't it? On the ride to Dectus 1, there's a man pretending to be both. Callie says that's just Blythe, and to give him a quick snap. Rani was here, and gave me my summoning bell. This finger snap works, and he's after a man named Darwell. There's also Bach pretending to be a bush. He was kicked out of his group, and wants to go back. Don't do this. They kicked you out for a reason. We find him on the way to Weeping Peninsula, but first we kill Selen's guard. She takes us as a student, even though we don't do the thinking too well. Blythe is summoned for Darwell, and gives us a somber stone too, and tells us to meet E.G., a rather large fellow. Cross the Danger Bridge to meet Irina. She wants us to deliver a letter to her father, Edgar, in Castlemore. He doesn't want to leave because he puts his job before his family, unless we get his sword back. That sword is guarded by a leonine Mistigati, who is not wielding it. Great. Giving it to Edgar means he can now protect his daughter. Let's go for a lovely and she's dead. This is what happens when you put your job before your family. I also grabbed the leather trousers, as they are a close match to Solaire's iron leggings. Back in Lake Akil, I fight with the dragon, and beat back Nerejus. And talk to Yuro to kickstart his quest. I fight and spare patches for his quest. I then head to the coastal cave, and summon a very good looking man to teach two chieftains a lesson. Handing the sewing kit that they confiscated back to Bach. And that's all of the quests in the Limgrave area. It is now time for Margit and Stormveil Castle. I summon Aurelia at the behest of Little Red Riding Hood, and I use the longsword speed to my advantage to weave hits in between Margits. With this constant pressure, I was able to get 2 stance breaks, and Aurelia was able to get him poisoned. Stormveil is now open, with Margit being beaten. This dungeon has another forest quest, with Gostok being first. He wants us to take a path that the guards don't know about, but he then traps us in a room with the Banished Knight. But the Banished Knight made a mistake. I'm not stuck in here with them. They're stuck in here with me. Back at the Stormveil Cliffside Grace, we see Gostok was spying on us. Talk to him, and he's surprised that he was found. But he gives me a word as hush money. He shows up in 2 more locations, but I wasn't able to get those to trigger. Further along, we find Rajir in a chapel just chilling. He is not here for Goddard, as he's lost the guidance of Grace, but rather a secret at the castle. we'll find that secret later on. Pressing on, we find where Godric throws the corpses that he doesn't use. Drop into it for the Chrysalid's memento. We'll head back to Little Red Riding Hood's shack to hand it in. She's ready to move on to Round Table Hold, and we'll find her there after we've defeated Godric. Exploring the castle, we find a conveniently placed item near the edge of a walkway. We can jump across and do some parkour to carry on. Don't forget to unlock the shortcut. Dropping all the way to the depths of the castle, we find an illustrated tree spear. Yo's guarding a weird squid thing that has Rogier's bloodstain right next to it. Huh, weird. I sure hope Rogier's okay, and nothing bad has happened to him. We find Nefeli in a storeroom just off the castle's main path, giving a brave warrior their final rites. She wants to help me in the fight against Godric, as he is a foul creature. We honor her wish. With Nefeli and Aurelia, the fight was pretty straightforward. Use a liberal amount of charged heavies and square off heavy attacks to break Godric's many kneecaps. Hit him when he's transitioning, as it still counts towards his stance damage. If you do enough damage, you can then stance break him at the start of phase 2. Nefeli and I bully Godric for the rest of the fight. And to think, I died to this guy more times than I did to Melania on my first playthrough. I am not kidding. Press at the Grace to trigger Ghost Octave here, giving Godric the boot. Head to Round Table Hold to get a couple of rewards from Little Red Riding Hood, like her name, Roderica, and a golden seed. Being an owl between Hugh and Roderica unlocks her as a spear tuner. I came here earlier for the meet and greet, but couldn't find a good place for it in the script, so here it is now.
Ah, hello. You must be new here. Oh, this is a rare occasion. Oh, I see you've just arrived.
Be sure to talk to Enya and the Two Fingers. Maybe cover your eyes when the fingers start, talking. I didn't look at them, so you don't have to. You're welcome. She gives you the quest to hunt down and kill all of the demon gods to acquire their great runes. Gideon is now willing to talk to you and gives you information on where the demon gods are located. Incho gives you a new gesture, and Nefeli gives you the arsenal charm to boost your equip load. After meeting Nefeli's adoptive father, Gideon, she then continues her quest. Rogier also made it here, and oh, he might not be exploring the world anymore.
Looks like we both got what we wanted out of Stormvale, didn't we?
Hugging Theo leads us to get a map of the Black Knight friend location. We'll make good use of it by heading into the lakes. At the start, we find Totally Not Arena wanting some grapes. Give her the one you found as you're exiting the castle. Just down the road, we find Tops moping about. He went out for a quick midnight snack and was locked out of his academy. Following the east bank, we find a ruins with another grape and the Two Fingers heirloom. Totally Not Arena is nearby looking for more grapes. How she got here with her poor eyesight and the sheer cliff, I'll never know. Further along at the collapsed bridge, we find her again, but this time we have no grapes. That one is found later on. While in the neighborhood, I fought the random Langdale Knight for the Dragon Cult Prayer Book and gave it the best magic feature in the land, Dogboat. I bought Lightning Spear off of him. For the spells that my version of Solaire will use, I am going off the theory that Solaire is the son of the Firstborn. The Firstborn in this universe is Godwyn the Golden, so I use all the spells that mention him. That includes Lightning Spear, Electrify Armament, Bone Bolt, and Death Lightning. While in the neighborhood, I went ahead and collected the Lightning Shrouded Cracked here, and found the dungeon with the Black Knife Print. There's a Black Knife Assassin here that's a slippery and tanky bugger. Hand in the Black Knife Print to Rogier so he can inspect it. Carrying on, we find Dialis mourning the loss of Lanya, and Raya is quite chilly in the middle of the lake. Patches is nearby, observing Raya and wanting us to help her if we're given the opportunity. Helping her requires us to hunt down her necklace that was stolen from her. The thief is conveniently nearby. Simply buy it off of him as we're given the option, but don't exhaust his dialogue, and hand the necklace back to Raya. She'll meet you in Eltis. Even further on, we find Vari outside an infected church. Tell him that the Two Fingers didn't look right, and he'll give you some fingers to invade others. We'll use a different method that was added via a patch.
Give it a try,
A little to the west, we find a village hiding under a hollowed out section of a plateau. It's not doing so well. A fella is here, mourning the senseless destruction, and an old man pretending to be a pot. The old man gives you the secret Hollow Tree medallion and promptly dies. How convenient that he dies as soon as we meet him, and not if we ignore him for half the game. I guess time is convoluted here as well. Summon Nefelia across the bridge to get revenge on one of the beings that partook in the carnage. And, I think he needed to get something out of her. Speaking of someone seeking revenge, Edgar is on a genocidal revenge path, killing any and all misbegotten in his way. Let's end that and plug out his eye. It's what Jesus would have wanted. We'll hand that in later, as there's another quest that brings us there that I want to show off. Continue to the 4 belfries and reset your transformed opposition to the beginning of the game to re-challenge the Graphis Scion. It almost gets me because I was playing with my food. There's a very important set of ashes that we can hand to Nefelia.
Is that ash?
Even though she can't commune with it, she can still smell the storm in it, causing her to remember why she became a warrior in the first place. I would have mentioned it and invaded, but let's be honest, they're a bit of a joke. But Gideon does hint about an Albarnaric woman hiding out by a cliffside cave. Getting there, we realize that Encha, or Gideon, has already killed her dear wolf in retaliation for her not having what they wanted. The thugs. We do have what they wanted, which convinces her to become a spirit. Rogier has now finished deciphering the Black Knife print and wants us to find Rani the witch. She is supposedly in Kaya Manor on the north side of the lakes. We head there and challenge the protection of Lorda and talk to Rani. He was in her of being involved in the Night of the Black Knives. Goes about as well as you'd think it would, forcing us to go back to Rogier.
How would you like to become one of Rani's vassals? Only in order to get what we want, of course. The location of...
He has us join her, but she realizes that it's just to get something out of it. The start of a very healthy relationship.
I'm planning to go below.
Talking to her minions has us join Blythe in Shofra.
Can't find the road.
Hold, please.
Good to see you.
We find Blythe stumped, which kicks off another owl quest. Talk to Selos, you, to get insulted. Then talk to Selin to learn that Radon needs to die. Then report your findings to Blythe, who hasn't moved a muscle since we left. I don't think he was actually trying.
That reminds me of something I heard.
Don't forget to pick up the Nomadics Cookbook 17, sold by the Hidden Merchant. It has a use later on. Let's get the party started. The party has everything. A massive jug to get your drink on, the token woman so we can claim her inclusive, and lots of death. The fight was absolute chaos, with Radon constantly changing who he was attacking. This made the fight very difficult. But in the end, he eventually falls, causing the stars to resume their motions. After the fight, Alexander is moping about because he feels like a tremendous failure, and Blythe is ecstatic about the fight. I wish I was feeling the same.
And you.
Returning to the Round Table Hold, Gideon tells us it's now time to seek an audience with Marika, and Enya gives us an extra pocket for our talisman. Gialis then mentions that our recruiting recruiter approached him, and he agreed to join them so he can seek his own revenge. Before we head to Marika, Lieutenant and I challenge O'Neill for a broken needle. It didn't go all that great, but I eventually remembered that all I need to do is stay close to him and weave attacks between hits. Give the broken needle to Gowry, and he repairs it with the equipment he has. Hand the needle to Millicent in the Church of the Plague at the top of the hill so she can stab herself. Quite naturally, she faints. I would too. After her nap, she gives us the Prosthesis Heirloom for +5 to dexterity. She is back at Gowry's shop because she feels like it's important to her, but she can't remember why. She is now on her very own journey.
hoping to find
We are now
someone
done with Alberta's tar
I
sand,
finally found
which is great because I'm pretty sure I got cancer from it.
Before my departure, I needed someone to say farewell to. Oh,
Back in the lakes, we
many
give the
thanks
eyeball
to you.
to Totally Not Arena.
Now I can feel the distant light once more.
She learns that the grapes she has been eating are eyeballs,
No,
which explains the shouts and quivering hands.
that's not possible. Not all of those people. Their own. So those noises I heard were.
Up the hill, Alexander is back to cosplaying. Giving him a simple smack doesn't work, as he needs to get slippery. Thank Gwen I remembered to pick up the recipe for oil pots. He's here because he was homesick, so let's see his old village. We find the best NPC in the game, Jarburn. Don't at me, you know it's true. He's looking for a new potentate, which we do not qualify for as our hands are too rough, like sand. Finally, head back to Caria Manor to discover Selavis's rape dungeon. I need a shower. Confront him, and he has you deliver a potion to Nepheli. It's roofies, by the way.
Even you can do that much.
Dump it the next time you're in Round Table Hold by talking to Gideon. Gideon doesn't care one way or the other if you give it to his adopted daughter.
I'll dispose of
Real Father of the Year material.
You go and see Selavis, but don't give anything away.
Return to Selavis, and he'll have you find an Emperor Starlight Shard. We'll get this once we're in Altus Plateau, but Pedia, the merchant who sold me my shield, also sells the map. Don't forget to talk to Iji, who congratulates you about your success against Radon, and not to wait for Blythe to explore Necron. It's totally because Ronnie has Blythe doing something else and nothing else. Don't question it. Oh, he's locked in the Forlorn Ever jail. Release him, or don't. It doesn't matter in the end. I did because I would never keep the best boy locked up.
Oh, hello.
At the Bellum Church, we find Totally Not Arena finally at peace with eating eyeballs.
There.
So much she wants a special eyeball that was touched by the frenzied flame. It's conveniently nearby at the Lord of the Rings reference. You'd think Spike would be a challenge with his madness-inducing attacks, but he doesn't know how to dodge Lightning Spear. Grab the grace for later, as the lady sitting in the chair is Vike's maiden. Give Totally Not Arena the eyeball so she can finally find the three fingers.
A fingerprint grape. Tried and true. What a wondrous thing. A fingerprint grape.
It's finally time to head to Altus through the secret coward path. Summon Millicent for assistance against Makar, and Brina and Latana. Makar didn't stand a chance with the constant arrow bombardment.
I realized that if I
Millicent is at the Erdtree gazing grace, wishing she wasn't like Jamie. We grant her wish by finding a spare arm for Melania in a castle to the north. It's weird that it fits her near perfectly.
giving me this arm.
Head back to Round Table Hold for Dirk Gently to tell you that he's off to find Goldmask. Find him by the Ubisoft radio tower because he couldn't find Goldmask yet. I don't think he was really trying. The Amber Starlight Shard is nearby as well. Follow the road to find a broken bridge and a teleporter. Goldmask is standing behind you, just way over there. Continue following the road to its very creepy windmill village. Summon Millicent here to challenge Slim Jim. And talk to her, find out if she likes the arm you gave her. Finally, a lady who appreciates it when I give her an arm. Last one I gave an arm to was asking questions like, whose arm is this? And where did he get this?
We meet yet again.
Return to Dirk Gently, and he'll move to Goldmask's location, and hand the Amber Starlight Shard to Celis, you, for the Magic Scorpion charm. Finally, head into Rodon's Hole for an average Dark Souls 3 PvP fight, and a finger. And a fight with an average size moose. I was having a hard time hitting the moose as my perfectly average size sword, thank you very much, was having a hard time reaching the moose. Give the finger to Ronnie.
My discarded flesh lieth beyond the seal unlocked by it.
Checking on Selvis, you, just discover that he is still very much alive. How disappointing. Follow the road from the Windmill Village to challenge Magnus, the Beast Claw, for Vara's quest. And find Patches suspiciously squatting in this peculiar location. Oh well, he said there's treasure ahead, and he would never lie.
Strange place for a chance encounter, eh? Well, if you really are that gullible.
Oh well, Patches will be Patches. It's convenient that we're down here, as we can find Alexander having a lukewarm bath. He gives us the best helmet in the game. He knows it's the best helmet because Let Me Solar uses it, and it increases damage with firebombs. He's sure to defeat the magma worm. Further along the mountain path is the Your Beautiful Prattling Plate and Azure. He gives us his comment. Cross the bridge to meet up with Patches again, and he has a warning for us to stay clear of Volcano Manor. Speaking of which, stop leaving Raya on red and go meet up with her at the Erdtree Gazing Hill so she can whisk you away to Volcano Manor. If you use the lift, then she can be found at the top of the lift in a more obvious spot and not half hidden. Meet Raya's mother and agree to join the Volcano Manor. Dialis has joined as well, having changed his mind. He thinks that the best way to seek vengeance is to be a recusant who hunts down other Tarnished like Lania. Anyway, back in Limgrave, we find a red invasion sign where we fight Istvan, a fellow Tarnished that we're hunting down. Wait a minute. Return to accept your reward and find Raya in her bedroom in the form of a snake. Why does the Drying Room key open Raya's personal room? Is Tanth trying to suggest something? We treat Raya with kindness because this RPG has fewer options than Fallout 4. That bar was on the ground and Elden Ring failed to clear it. The next target is Riley the Idol, an assassin in the employ of the Two Fingers. He hunts down those that strayed away from the path of grace. I feel less bad about killing this one. On a side note, I find it weird that the Volcano Manor is hyped up to be in opposition of the Erdtree, and that there are Two-Finger assassins who target those who oppose the Erdtree. But you're never invaded by one of these assassins when you join Volcano Manor. Return for your reward and Patches shirking his duties. Typical Patches. Raya is in her guise and has seen a snake-like figure go into the room next to hers and never leave. Discover that one of the walls is fake and discover the secret nightmare of Volcano Manor. I ran through it pretty quickly, but you'll discover that they torture and skin alive Albernerics. Fight Skinny Malone, who is wearing a nice Alberneric skin jacket. Grab the Serpent's Amnion that's in suspiciously good condition. Return to Raya with news of the nightmare, and she begins to distress her mother. Give her the Amnion and she realizes it's hers, or from her birth mother's. This sends her into a real spiral. Speak to her mother, and she becomes worried. At least she's a half-decent mother, but she should have told her the truth earlier.
I'm terribly sorry, but would you mind
Catch up with the Dialis, and he's having a crisis as well. Let's go somewhere else, a little more cheery, like catching up with Selen. I'm sure her quest has a happy ending. Show her Comet Azure, and she's surprised that we were able to get it, especially given that I only have 9 intelligence. She wants us to find Lusat, who is also missing, with information that she was able to gather. North of the Church of the Plague is an illusionary cliff wall. Lusat is in here behind a seal. He gives you the Stars of Ruin, another spell I can't use. Re-gift the spell to Selen, and she'll tell you to rip the heart out of her real body. Sex with wizards is so weird. Do as she wishes, and stick that heart into the lifelike doll of her so she can get her release. Now that she's free, she wants us to take over the academy. Finally, we are going to the game's second intended dungeon. Kill Smaragd for the Glenstone Key, enter the academy, and give Yer a hand with the bloody finger. His invasion sign is a little further along the bridge. You can walk past these as they aren't force fields. Bring Selen in for the Red Wolf fight. Thankfully, I brought her, as she definitely saved my bacon. Run across the Academy's rooftops, like your Vin, to acquire a spare Glenstone key. It must have been some rager if the spare key ended up way up here on the chandelier, or they invited Sia, and this was her key. Hand it into our Boythops. What, you didn't think I forgot about him, did you? He can now move back into the Academy, where he'll become a prestigious whiz, and he is dead. Let's get the head wizard while we're in the unintentionally killing wizard's mood. I almost won Cycle Renala. If I had the Twin Blade or Winged Sword Insignia Talisman equipped, it would have been a guarantee. The second phase was more of the same. Get a few good hits on her early on, then play the bullet hell game until phase 2.5. Then dodge the roll spam and the summons. beat her, but her pet dragon didn't quite get the memo. Outside of the boss arena, touch the golden summon sign to help Selen with her Jaren problem. After the fight, we find that Selen has taken over the academy. The queen is dead. She gives us a dagger for the troubles, resets the area, and long live the queen. And see that Selen has really gotten ahead of life. You could say she's the head of the academy. Her favorite shampoo is heads without the shoulders. Okay, I'll stop now. I'm neither Austin Powers nor J.K. Leeds. With our business in the academy finally done, we can head to the Carrion study hall to flip it upside down, and then fall down to the chandeliers to go up. Grab the Stargazer heirloom and the cursed mark of death that Rogier was looking for. Hand it in to him, and he's dead. Mourn his loss with Fia, who strangely gives you a withered dagger made of gold and silver. Hand it to the only person we've met, clad in gold and silver, and rest. I'm sure everything's fine. And he's dead. Collect his armor, and give it to his twin brother, D, Beholder of Death, in the shop for aqueducts. Aqueducts are located by following the jellyfish where the monument for the moose is. I skipped the vulgar gargoyles because I'd rather every boss run back be replaced with the treasure's outskirts. Collecting the Curse Mark of Death opens up Rena's Rise for it to teleport us to Angel River. Pick up doll Ronnie and start talking to it. Ronnie finds this peculiar, but it shouldn't be, right Randall? They said a bunch of stuff that's not YouTube appropriate. Anyway, Ronnie wants us to kill an assassin before it assassinates her because we embarrass her by finding her in her doll form. And speaking with dolls, I don't know which she finds more embarrassing. Be sure to grab the Ghost Glove Word Bell Bearing 2, so we can upgrade Latenna. I grabbed the first version back in Nokron since it was on the way. Beating the assassin gets us the key to Ronnie's heart, or at least a chest that has an engagement ring. Marrying a princess so she can become a queen is totally the same thing as marrying for love, right? Right? Cross the Lake of Rot, my favorite, to challenge Estelle. I summon Aurelia, as I will be sending her free soon. Estelle is of little challenge, as he likes to get an attack, and then sits there catching their breath. Does a creature from outer space have lungs the same way that we do? These are the questions that keep me up at night. After their defeat, we can ride an elevator up to the Moonlight Altar and the Cathedral of Manicelas. Dropping down a conveniently located hole, we can find Ronnie's two fingers slain and her doll. Marrying the doll causes her spirit to appear and gives us the Dark Moon Greatsword, only given to those betrothed to the Carrion royal family. It immediately went into my storage box. My eyes are on someone else. Head back to Iji and Ronnie's tower to check in on Iji and Blythe. Blythe wasn't too happy to see me. I guess I have to set my eyes on someone else. It's time to head to this big city and their big city light, but first let's do Patch's assassination contract. It's our good buddy, Tragoth. It's weird that even though he's in armor with the highest poise rating, that my perfectly average sized sword, thank you very much, is enough to cause him to flinch. Tell Patches, and he'll totally take all of the credit. We set to get the reward that was promised. At least I got a whip that I won't use. Now, I have a brain teaser for you. Why does a Hulking soldier in armor made of the scales of the dragon they killed with their bare hands, and their horse with the same armor, have the same stance bar of millennia, a warrior in a dress with a bit of mail, like the runes you get from the side dungeon bosses? Everything is made up, and the numbers don't matter. Don't forget to tell Balk that he's beautiful. That's the end of his quest, and there's nothing after this. You can't convince me otherwise. Grab the seedbed curse from this lovely studio apartment with open floor plan and skylight. That'll be $4,000 per week, by the way. The landlord is saving up for a new Tesla after the last one drove them into oncoming traffic. Speaking of rooms for rent, find the real round table hold. It's a little dark and dingy, but with the right elbow grease, it too can be yours for the low price of $3 million. Though you might want to do something with the pile of corpses. Two last things here. Invade the world of 2 of the first Tarnish with Bernal. And grab the Gravel Stone Seal. It has slightly lower scaling, but gives a bonus to Dragon Cult incantations.
Oh, was that you? Sorry, I hardly noticed.
Head to the Colosseum to find that Goldmask is stumped, and this is frustrating Dark Gently. Goldmask has found that the name Radagon is important, but doesn't know why. Head to the Erdtree Sanctuary to fight the Shade of the first Elden Lord. This is a preview of a much better fight, so I'll save that for later. Head out the western entrance, down the elevator to the statue of Radagon. Drink the physics flask with the intelligence not tier. Have Mariko's Scar's Heal, Stargazer's Heirloom, and Twin Sage Crown equipped, and activate Godric's Great Rune before realizing that you don't have Law of Regression. Grab the prayer book from the pram, take it to the best magic teacher to learn Law of Regression, and do all of the above again to learn that Radagon and Marika are the same. Tell Goldmask to hear the voice actor coordinator's suave voice. One last step to meet Marika. Kill one of her sons. I'm sure she won't mind, given that he was given the Harry Potter treatment.
Felled by King Morgoth, last of all kings.
For this fight, I summoned Melina and Aurelia. This fight was more chaotic than usual, with Morgoth constantly switching between multiple targets. It doesn't help that Melina is a massive weeb and runs like a Naruto character. Though, I do wish we got her Holy Rain and Tree incantations. Hopefully they're in the DLC. Alright, with Morgoth out of our way, we can now meet Marika. Okay, I should have suspected this game wasn't done yet. Melina is fed up with us too, and suggests we burn the vines. I like where her mind is. Before we head out, let's check in on Jarbaron, Volcano Manor, and Nefeli. Jarbaron is reminiscing about his uncle, Alexander, and says I should ask him to teach me how to fight. I think I got that covered. Bernal has the reward for the dual assassination contract.
It's yours by right.
A spell I can't use. Raya is also not present, and her mother doesn't know where she is, but she gives me a tonic that causes her to forget unsavory things.
I know. My wish is a grave disrespect to her.
We can find her in this random room off the main path, in the dungeon. But don't give her the tonic, as we can give her a happy ending, but not that kind of happy ending.
You have done so that I wish to ask one last kindness.
Carry on to the Stone Sword Key door to find the third Seedbird curse. Nefeli is now the right and proper ruler of Stormvale Castle. This quest has always been about for me. I always needed to rest at Godric's Grace, then run, not warp, to the grace outside of the arena for her quest to progress properly. Also, I feel like I'm missing someone. I'm sure they're not important. In the mountaintops, we see Yura, who is not Yura. Oh shoot, I forgot to complete Yura's quest. Darn. Anyway, Shaburi says that our maiden is going to sacrifice herself, and if we truly care for her, we should seek the wisdom of the Three Fingers. I don't see anything wrong with this at all. He is, after all, perfectly sane. See? Perfectly sane. The Three Fingers are deep below the capital, going through the sewers. The path is quite simple. Turn left out of the subterranean Shining Grounds Grace, and drop down the far grate. Turn into the pipe, because Miyazaki is a Mario fan. Incredibly based. Follow the pipes. Make sure you watch out for the holes. There are conveniently located slugs to knock you down. If you fall, all I can say is pray to Gwen, because I can't help you. Turn right when you come across a grate. Take care of the onlings. And open the double doors. You can also open the shortcut with the lever. After the doors, turn left and fall down this ledge. Follow the path, down the staircase, and turn around and go through the path to the left of the stairs. Beware of the basilisks who ambush you. Sneak past the omen. Trust me. Open the double doors, as this is an important shortcut. Jump on top of the pipe and follow it, dealing with every single ambush. Drop down to the left at the end of the pipe, jump on the platform, and watch out for the last ambush. What's this? The third one in this section? Jump into the hole in the pipe below. You're facing the right way, so just follow the path and take the first left. And drop down the first hole. Watch out for the backstabber. Now simply follow the path to the ladder. Congratulations! You have successfully navigated the maze that everyone hates. Sewer Mohawk stands between me and the final challenge to the Three Fingers. I fight the real version later, so I'm just gonna skip the fight. Now, let's begin the madness-inducing platform section. This first bit is easy. Drop down to the wood beams. On the lowest wood beam, head to the lowest landing, and then drop down to the coffin on the right from the wood beam. Then drop down twice. Jump across 4 times, following along the wall. You might be tempted to drop down the coffin directly beneath you, but you want to jump to the coffin to the right that's further below. Then jump to the item. Congratulations, you just did the hardest platforming section in this game. At the bottom, we find Totally Not Arena. Leave a comment if you know how she got down here. She asks you to strip down, not for her pleasure, for the Three Fingers' pleasure. You can now open the scary door and get groped by a being who isn't doing so great mentally. This makes Melina mad at you. There are no gameplay ramifications from this.
A pity. You are no longer fit.
There are 2 illusionary walls that link us to deep rope depths, and gets us to Fia's champs. They were just 5 NPCs, so it was another average Dark Souls 3 PvP encounter. My own machine gun turret did a really good job at keeping them distracted. This unlocks Fia. Give her several hugs so we can fight Galdwin's old friend. Fortnite sucks. You need the Curse Mark of Death to unlock this fight. The entire fight I ran interference to keep Olaten alive by running between his toes. This was some challenge as there is no lock-in point, so I had to free in my attacks. It worked really well as she never got hit. Back in the mountaintops, we find Millicent taking a quick rest on her journey to get to the Halictree, where Melania is. She hints at a fortress to the north that houses the second half of the Halictree medallion. Lieutenant is also supposed to mention this, but her dialogue didn't trigger. There's also the final assassination target, Juno Hosel. Wait a minute, is this Diallo's brother? It's totally his brother. I feel very bad now. Moving on, we can find Goldmask and Corin chilling on a ridge, observing the Erd Tree. Goldmask is here to observe the atrocity that Marika and her Golden Army have committed. Dark Gently is questioning why that's so important. In the ruins nearby, we find a jellyfish looking for her sister. Her sister being Aurelia. So summon her. This sets her free. You still keep her, but I'm gonna pretend this is an RPG and roleplay that she was set free. Let's go turn in that final assassination quest. Tanith is pleased with me and says Rykard wants to have me for dinner, with me being the main course. I mean, just look at Solaire. He's a full meal right there. Thankfully, the former captain of the guard has left me a toothpick to fend off Rykard's advances. The fight was pretty typical. Also, when he starts his hell phase, you can stun lock him by doing the first part of the Ash of War. Easy fight. Returning to Tanith, we find that she's devastated that Rykard is dead. Badges is impressed, and both of them will no longer be here.
You scheming little bastard.
Patches moves to the Shaded Castle. I'm not entirely sure why, unless Tanith is a former royalty from here. There's a suspicious amount of ketchup on Patches. Beat the boss to have him move to his final location. The boss is a named bell-bearing hunter. He seems really scary with his magic flying sword, but if you stay close, then his moveset is less punishing. Also, Impaling Thrust hard carries. Holy. Patches has moved back to his original hideout, but will recognize you almost immediately. Spare him, again, to get his famous gesture. Return to Rykard's boss arena to see Tanith chowing down on Rykard, who might still be alive. Give her the castanets for her to refuse. She doesn't want to return to her past life. Return to Jarburg to find that Jarburn has found a new potentate, Diallos. I should refrain from mentioning that I killed his brother. I wanted to complete Lieutenant's and Millicent's quest before the fire shrines, since I get a special item that only works in Farum Azula. Head to Castle Sol and get kicked by a prosthetic leg. It deals bonus electric damage. Next try, I don't be fancy and stick to the classic lightning spear and sword attacks. If you're having trouble with this boss, keep in mind he's left-handed, so you need to dodge in the opposite direction that you normally would. With access to the consecrated snowfield, I can now head to the church that Latenna needs to go to. I just need to dodge the turtle shelling. You could say that I really got shelled. There is a bigger version of Latenna who receives the birthing droplet, completing Latenna's quest. Ordino is as lovely as always, as well as the Haligtree. This flying misbegotten must have been a big fan, as they really wanted my autograph. Loretta is a large target in metal armor, and I wield the power of lightning. Yeah, she didn't stand much of a chance. Alphael is now open, and we find Millicent. She is fully convinced that she is the same blood of Melania, and realized that we're here for her as well. I also farmed the Haligtree soldiers for their circuit, finally completing Solaire's look. It only took me 6 hours. There are 2 seedbed curses, one by dropping down to the hidden ledge and exploring the Starve Room, and another one by the ancient somber stone, just out in the open. I teased the rotten ulcerated tree spirit in that random rock pool because it doesn't deserve anything more than that. This opens the final parts of Millicent's quest. We help her, though I don't think she needed it as I was little more than a hype man. We find her laying there having decided to remove the needle and let the rot consume her. She finally realized that she was being used. Let's pay a visit to the abuser. Oops, I accidentally hit the attack button. Silly me. Now it's time for Melania. I almost got her on the first try, but I got caught on her invisible pedestal during her ducky dance, and that kills me. Same thing with the second try. I think I would have gotten her if I didn't summon Latenna, who became a glorified juice box. I died a few more times to the ducky dance, and decided to get barricade shielded, having the stamina cost of blocking. I wonder if it's possible to fully tank it without a shield. Barricade shield was the right call. It allowed me to survive all of her ducky dances, and I was able to beat her. It wasn't even close. Nope, not even close. Melania turns into a flower, which upgrades the unalloyed gold needle to Miquella's needle. This allows us to ignore all influences of outer gods. I wonder if that will be important for the DLC. Return to Gideon with the knowledge of where the Haligtree and Melania are located. The incantation you receive from Melania's location is particularly useful for the final boss, as it reduces holy damage by 60%. Before taking on the fire giant and finishing the game, there's still Weasel who has a quest to complete. Talk to Vari, and he's impressed that we went after other tarnished. We get a white sheet that we need to bloody with the blood of a maiden. Since Melina isn't answering my calls, I go after Vike's maiden. Vari pulls our finger as a reward and gives us a medal. He wants us to hold off on it and wait for a signal. Use it in front of his face and invade his world in Mogwin's palace. I wonder if the DLC will add that signal. I also picked up the Purifying Crack Tier, an essential item for the fight against Moog. I was supposed to come here earlier to get a few lines by Yura on how he severed her finger, forcing Eleonora to stay in the area, or something. The fingers in this game are weird. I summoned Latenna from Moog, and boy golly, she turned him into a porcupine. Stick close to him so that he focuses on you, dodging in the direction the swing comes from. He usually attacks in threes, so you can easily time your attacks. Once he reaches Unos, chug your physics class for the tier's protection. You can chug earlier, but I like the extra damage for phase 2. Phase 2 becomes quite a bit more chaotic, to the point that you're going to have a hard time sticking close to him. This causes Latenna to get targeted and promptly die, but Moog does fix this by coming to you to give you the mighty thrust. Use this to your advantage to get in a few hits. Keep in mind that this is also a Splatoon boss, so watch out for all the paint that Moog is throwing down. Return to Gideon, and he'll reward you for giving him the location of Miquella and Moog. Now that all of the optional bosses and their respective quests are done that can be done before the fire giant, let's pay them a visit. I summon Alexander and Latenna, and oh boy, even though he is slow, he hits like a truck. The bodies that he stuffed into him and the bath have really helped. We finish him off with a visceral attack. Only time a visceral attack was useful against the fire giant. We throw ourselves into the kiln and wake up in Saskatchewan. Quickly run through to meet Skinny Malone and Slim Jim. I summon Bernal, who managed to get this far as well. I wonder which great runes he has, and who his maiden was. The first attempt, Skinny does a roll near Bernal, but targets me because... Second try, and we bully Skinny once Slim Jim is defeated. But Bernal doesn't survive much longer when a second Slim Jim appears. Before Slim can summon his friend, I break his kneecaps. Solaire makes the Trulog swag jump, and I get lost looking for the elevator to Alexander. I eventually find him, but forgot to record the encounter. He went to a pot farm downstate to live out the rest of his days. Returned to Jarburg to find that I was attacked by the poachers. Dial's tried his best, which wasn't a lot, but we lied to him like we did when we told him where his brother was. Reset and see that Jarburn is trying to stuff Dial's inside him to become a big, strong warrior like Dial. Reset and give him the innards of Alexander so Jarburn can become even stronger. He leaves behind a companion jar, a talisman that gives bonus to throwable pots. I never use it. While on the main continent, let's finish Duneater's quest. Find his unvoided form to get the key to his cell. You can only get this key if you have at least one seed red curse. Why he has the key to his release but never uses it is a mystery to me. Probably because he's banging his head into the wall when we meet him. Head to the moat and you'll get invaded. You'll notice that Bogart isn't here. That's because we never finished his dialogue from earlier, saving him. Finally, a somewhat happy ending. Return to Duneater in Round Table Hold, and he realizes that he needs to incubate the curse to achieve his objective. Find his real body and feed him 5 seedbed curses. Thankfully, there's no cutscene, as the seedbed curse is applied rectally. Make your way to beside the Great Bridge, Grace, and go away from the boss gate. You'll be invaded by Bernal, as he's seeking your power. I tried to inflict him with Deathblade, but that never triggered. The incantation does 50 on the initial strike, and 30 per tech. I smoked him enough to give him cancer from the second-hand smoke, and it still didn't proc. I love it when status effects can affect you, but you can't use them to your advantage. Find the not-so-secret platforming section to challenge Placidusex. I bring Latenna, but don't use the strategy that Baron's Castle used, even though that's perfectly valid. I do get hit by the Ween attack, even though I was nowhere near the boulders or the Ween. Great hitbox. Latenna shows off her dodging ability by successfully dodging Placidusex's Dragon Cloud form twice. Expertly done, Latenna. She does fall to dual Modir lasers, but Placid didn't live much longer. Use Mikla's Needle to lose the influence of the Frenzied God. You don't need to beat Blassie to do this, I just did it now because it feels natural. We are now free, but Melina doesn't come back to you because you burned that bridge a long time ago. Now it's time to finish the game. First try against Malekith, I get a Visceral to transition him into his second phase, screwing up where I start phase 2. It was going well, but then I got caught by his Destined Death attack. Second attempt, and the Beastman was ready to throw down. I somehow didn't get hit once, and quickly get to phase 2. We start where we should, and I was almost able to script him. I get a stance break and show him the power of true death. This frees the Rune of Death, resulting in the tree to truly burn.
Farewell, it is then.
The capital is now covered in ash, which explains the wax around all of the doors. Goldmask is here, only slightly more immobile than normal, with his mending room. Corrin is strangely not here, but is still at the mountaintops.
Where did you go? I'm right here. Please, show me.
Now for Gideon. This was on New Game Plus, by the way. I forgot to record it the first time. We summoned Nephelu for the fight against Godfrey for some father-daughter bonding. Yep, lots of healthy father-daughter bonding. Phase 1 was a blink and you'll miss it affair, though I got a stylish phase change by striking him with my lightning sphere while he was in midair. All that's left is the final boss. Well, that's unfortunate. I get them on the next try, with the only visceral against the Elden Beast. Turns out that a sword and board playthrough supplemented with offensive incantations is a pretty good combo. While the perfectly average Psy Sword, thank you very much, is perfectly good. Impaling Thrust hard carried it with its high damage and stance pressure. The biggest disappointment in this run was definitely Death Lightning. While a single strike does good damage, it can only hit a target once, unlike its bigger brother, Ancient Dragon Lightning Strike. And the Deathlight status effect was useless in PvE. Turns out, other Tarnish have absurdly high resistance to it, like over 9,000. I love it when a game has a status effect that only affects you and not other enemies. Anyway, thanks again for taking the time to watch this video. If you like this video, or saw something new in Elden Ring, then hit that like button. And if you'd like to be kept in the loop, then hit that subscribe button. As always, I'm rooting for you. We're all in this together. Ah, finally, I found it. My very own son.